Today I will be showing you how to create organic structures like these on vases. It's actually easier than you might think, there is just a bit of geometry behind it. So welcome to Thought to Think and let's get into it. So making an organic structure isn't too complicated, especially on a cylinder. Let's create one fast. I will give it a radius of 50 and height of 150 mm. I will call the sketch outer shape, as this sketch will define the form of the vase. Now I will use the revolve feature to revolve the sketch around z-axis, which will create a new body. I will rename this body as a vase, even though it doesn't look like it yet. Now, with shell feature with direction inside, I will make it hollow with a wall thickness of 2 mm. Now I will create a plane as an offset from XZ plane with a distance of 150. Exact value isn't important, but it should lie outside of the cylinder. On this new plane I will create a sketch where the organic structure will be drawn. I will just draw some random shapes. I'm sure you can come up with something better, but for now it's okay. I will rename this sketch to organic structure. Now I will make an extruded cut of these shapes with a distance of again 150. Now I will use circular pattern, object type is features, I will choose the extruded cut, and axis is the z-axis. I will try quantity 10. Now the spaces look a bit too big, so I will increase the quantity to 12. Result is an evenly spaced organic structure on the cylinder. Now let's try something more complicated than a cylinder. I will change the outer shape sketch and make a simple looking vase with some random dimensions. Now when I hit OK, the vase is completely destroyed. The structure doesn't fit at all and it's cutting the vase in half. I can try to adjust the sketch a bit to make it fit, but it's a bit of guessing and it might not work right away. Changing the quantity of circular pattern also won't solve it, as the spacing is larger in the lower part than in the middle. The reason of this behavior is of course the different diameter at different heights. Unlike cylinder where the diameter stays the same all the time, in our vase it changes with height. So for example in the lower part the diameter is 66 and in the middle just 30, so it's 2.2 times larger. Because diameter is in linear relationship with circumference, the circumference in the lower part is 2.2 times larger than in the middle. That means we can fit 2.2 times wider shapes to the lower part than to the middle. To know how much smaller or bigger the shapes should be at every height, we have to scale the outer contour non-uniformly. That means the height will stay the same. This will tell us how the region with organic structure should be shaped like. But by how much should we scale it? Should it be like this or like this? Well, it depends on the quantity of the circular pattern we want to use. In this example I will work with 12. We know that the circumference of a circle is pi times d. If we have 12 regions, one region will be pi times d divided by 12, which is around 0.262d. Since we are projecting from a plane on a curved surface, there is a slight error in the equation and the result is 0.263. So that means that if we will scale the outer contour by the factor of 0.263 and draw any organic structure evenly spread in this region, it will also be evenly spread on the whole vase after circular pattern of 12 repetitions. So now when we know the theory, let's do it in Fusion. Unfortunately, we cannot scale a sketch in one direction only. As you can see, we can only scale it uniformly, which means that the height changes also. There is however a very easy workaround, as scaling non-uniformly a 3D model is possible. I will move the timeline back a bit and I will make the vase we just created invisible. Now using the same outer shape sketch, I will create another vase. Important is that we save it as a new body. I will rename this body as a scaled vase and I will make the outer shape sketch invisible. Now I will use the scale feature. As entities I will choose the scaled vase, the point will be origin and type non-uniform. The x and y scale will be 0.263 as I explained previously. After hitting OK, we have scaled the vase non-uniformly. So here is the scaled vase and here the original, which we don't need yet, so I will make it invisible again. I will now open the sketch where we drew the organic structure. Only thing we need to do now is to project the outer contour of the scaled vase onto the sketch. So I will just project the whole body and change the contour to dashed line. Then it's basically done, the scaled region has been created. Now we can make the scaled vase invisible again and the original one visible. We see that the original drawing wasn't following the boundary line precisely, so the organic structure on vase didn't look even. When I redistribute the shapes evenly in this region and hit OK, we get a lot better results. What is cool about this is that the scale region will adapt when we change the vase. So I will randomly change some dimensions of the vase. After hitting OK, the old structure of course doesn't fit, but when I open the sketch where the structure is defined, I know exactly how to rearrange it. So I will change the old shapes, I will add a few new ones, and now I have to update the cut extrude feature and it's all done. I will add one more organic shape and I am happy with the result. So this is the basic principle. I will give you a few tips. The borders of the scale region are basically just guidelines to help you. If you only draw shapes strictly inside of the region, you may see lines separating the individual entities of the pattern. So the shapes can also be drawn a bit outside of the scaled region, just keep in mind that after the pattern, these shapes will appear in the region on the other side. Now the entities of the circular pattern overlap a bit, which leads to a bit more even structure. Secondly, emboss feature can also be used. Geometrically it works a bit differently, but the scaling of the vase works also here. Cool thing about emboss is that you can easily cut only partially into the vase, which is useful when the vase should actually hold something like soil or water. Also opposite direction can be used and then the organic structure is on top of the vase. Last thing, you can also try to use different amount of circular pattern. For example, in this vase there are 16 repetitions. When you change the quantity of circular pattern, the scale ratio of the scaled vase changes also. As you can see, here I use 0.197. Here is a quick overview what scale ratio to use with different circular patterns. For example, in this red vase, I use pattern amount 8. I also wanted to print one, so I created this vase with relatively big shapes and pattern amount of 6. Here is the time lapse of it. So I'm happy with the result, this is it for today. I hope you learned something, and if you liked the video you can subscribe for future videos. See you later!